Okay, this is a quick video on how to do a valve adjustment on a Yamaha XS650. Valve adjustments are very important. It's step 2 in your adjustment procedure. Step 1 being cam chain tensioner, step 2 being valve adjustment, step 3 being timing, and step 4 being carburetors. This is going to be part 1, video 1 of the cycle of operation. I'm just going to go over that real fast. You have to set these bikes up to do the valve adjustment. You can't just go in there and start adjusting. Basically, the piston has to be at top dead center on the compression stroke for the specific side you're working on. So if you're doing the left side valves, you have to make sure the left side piston is at top dead center on the compression stroke. You can't set one side and then go to the other. It's not going to work. They're doing two different things. When it's on the compression stroke, there's no pressure being put on the valves. Therefore, they're both closed and you can fit your feeler gauge underneath the tappets and get a correct feel. For this video, I'm just going to go over the order of operation and show you a couple parts. This is a 4-stroke engine, so there's 4 specific strokes for the cycle of operation. The first stroke is the intake, second is compression, third is power, and then the fourth is the exhaust stroke. On the intake stroke, the piston, say, is at top dead center. The piston starts coming down, sucking in air and fuel mixture, and the intake valve is open. On the second stroke, which is compression, the piston starts going back up, compressing that air fuel mixture, and then bang, once it gets to the top, the spark plug goes off, and that goes in the third stroke, which is the power stroke. That means that the piston is getting slammed down to the bottom, turning the crank, going to the transmission, going to the rear wheels. On the fourth stroke, the piston is going back up and pushing all the exhaust out. And then it just goes right back around again. So basically, right now what we're looking at is we're looking at the left-hand side cover. I've taken off the cover, and you're looking at the rotor stator assembly. Okay, I'm going to point out a couple parts. This is your brush set. This is your pickup. This is a 1981 SH model with a TCI, so it's going to have a pickup. Yours is probably going to be different if you have Poitzer or Pamco. Right here is the 17 millimeter nut to turn the rotor. You're going to have to turn the rotor. That's a 17 millimeter. You always have to turn the rotor counterclockwise. Do not turn it clockwise. Turn it counterclockwise. This is your rotor. This is your stator in here with all the windings, and then you've got your timing plate. Okay, there's a mark on your rotor here which needs to be aligned with the timing mark. The timing mark is the long line on the right hand side of this T. There's a T here. See if I can get in here closer. There's a T here, there's a timing mark here, and then the timing mark on your rotor. That's what you want. You want to have these lined up. Okay, you have to have these at top dead center. Next up, we're going to go to the intake valve. The intake valve is on the carburetor side. As you can see here, we have the rocker arm, we have the lock nut, the tappet is inside of here, your valve stem is in here, the valve goes down in the top of the head, there's your valve spring. When it's a top dead center compression stroke, this is free to move around. There's no pressure pushing down the spring and opening up the valve. That's what you want. That's so you can fit your feeler gauge in there. I have aftermarket tappets from Mike's XS with a hex head. In my opinion, it makes it a whole lot easier to use instead of that little square-headed OEM part. I don't like them. You can do a little bit more finesse. Good time to check your gaskets as well, and I'll show you why. Go over here to the exhaust valve, which is on the exhaust pipe side, or the front of the engine, and you can see my gasket's pretty torn up. Okay, I need to replace that. These parts are identical, okay? Rocker, spring, valve stem, your tappet's inside of here, and your 12 millimeter nut to do the adjustments. The only difference is on these is your valve clearances. On mine, since it's an SH model, my intake is 0.06 millimeter and my exhaust is 0.15 millimeter. Make sure you double check these. If you have a 72, you cannot go by 81 clearances. Make sure you check. They have different clearances for different years and different models and such, and make sure you double check. Alright, now that we've gone over these parts, we're going to go to video 2, and that's going to go over, I'm going to go over actually setting up to make sure that you are at top dead center on the compression stroke.